Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good people, wherever you're joining us from. We are so happy that you joined us. We appreciate you joining us, and you're very welcome here. And thank you very much. And today we're talking about Africa, the state of Africa as a continent. As you say, before we go into that, let me just explain that. On this channel we talk about Africa and development on the continent, and we are aware that development is a partnership between governments and us, the general population, but we like to focus more on what the general population can do to contribute towards that development. Because primarily the government will give us or will build or give us infrastructure, support where it is needed, but in the end it is us, the general population, that will take up entrepreneurship, start businesses, and then we and our employees, we pay taxes, and with that taxes collected, we pay taxes. With the tax revenue collected, then they can give us more development. Our focus is more on what we can do. But today I want us to talk about the continent as a whole. And I really want us to compare our continent to other continents and other countries. And I would like this to be a very candid conversation. I say this out of concern for Africa and out of the love that I have for Africa. I would like this to be a very candid conversation, no pulling of punches, just objective reflection, and not even denying anything, putting up denial and denying this and that, but looking at things objectively. That is why I call this a candid conversation that Africa needs. I want us to look at our continent, our combined GDP of the continent. We are 1.2 billion people on the continent, and we contribute, our combined GDP is 3.14 trillion US dollars. The UK, there are 67.7 million people, and their GDP is 3.15 trillion US dollars, slightly higher than us. 67.7 million people, producing nearly as much as 1.2 billion people on the continent. The US, just below 340 million people, they produce 26.84 trillion US dollars, their GDP. Germany, they're about 83.2 million people, and their GDP is about 4.3 trillion. 4.3 trillion people. I want us to digest that. And Germany, the Second World War ended in 1945. And when the war ended, the economy and the infrastructure of Germany were decimated. But in just 78 years, from the end of the war to 2023, their GDP is 4.3 trillion, produced by 83 million people, as compared to 3.14 trillion, produced by 1.2 billion people on the continent. Why such a big disparity? Why such a big disparity? What went wrong? What can we do? Our sub-Saharan economies are known to be under-industrialized, and many are not diversified well enough. I can hear one person retorting and saying, our economies are low because our resources, we don't add value to our resources, and therefore we sell them at very low prices. I agree, we should add value to our resources. And I agree, our resources are taken at next to nothing prices. that we don't even determine. When I sell something, I determine the value and I give it to you at a price that I want. We don't even do that. Not even sold in our currencies, in somebody else's currency. I agree. I don't disagree. But is that the only reason why our economies are the way they are? I will give an example. And I said, when I give an example, I'll give two examples. I'm not glorifying one country over the other. We are all Africans. We are all African countries. We are in this together, and together we are going to improve it. But we need diversification and industrialization. Dubai, I know that Dubai is a city, not a country. But what happened to a city can easily be transferred onto a country. Can easily be extrapolated to a country. There was a time when they have oil, and there was a time when their GDP, 50% of their GDP was coming from oil. But they used the revenues they got from oil and they built infrastructure. And with that infrastructure, now they diversified and they industrialized. Today, less than 1% of their GDP comes from oil. 99% of their GDP comes from other sectors of the economy. They've industrialized, they've diversified. And today, all of us, we want to go to Dubai. What stops us from making Africa like that? We need industrialization. I'll give an example about South Africa. South African mineral resources are bought at exactly the same prices that all other minerals from Africa are bought at. They don't get a better price for their minerals. They don't even have the best gold. They have white gold and 9-carat gold. They don't add value to most of their resources. They just semi-process their gold and send it to the UK. And I'm not saying that it should stay that way. But in spite of the little money they get from their minerals, excuse me, look at the kind of economy they've been able to build. With jobs, because they industrialized. Am I glorifying them? No, I'm not. The aim, I said, the aim is to learn from one another what we can do so that we can emulate that and apply it in other African countries. Am I saying that it's okay? No, it's not okay. Am I glorifying them? I'm not glorifying them. I'm just saying that diversification, I've given two examples, South Africa and Dubai, that really do prove that diversifying the economy and industrializing it goes a long way. Now imagine if South Africa was adding value to their resources. Imagine if they were getting better money for their mineral resources. They will be in a better position. And I'm not saying that South African economy is the best, because there are many problems within that economy, but it still offers better job opportunities. I can hear someone retorting and say they industrialized because the plan to industrialize came from, the cat. The plan to industrialize came from the government. I agree. We need the leadership of the government. But like I say, on this channel, I'm sorry about that. That was a cat jumping on me and I got scared. What I'm saying is that in the absence of leadership, or what seems like the absence of central leadership, or when it comes in slowly, our hands as the general population is still not held behind our backs. We can still do something. And I can hear somebody say, but it will be difficult. Yes, I agree, it will be difficult. We need infrastructure. Because if I'm going to do something and transport my goods and the road is very bad, not tarred and not paved, a 60-kilometer stretch is going to take me 2 hours instead of 30 minutes. and that is productivity. It affects productivity. But low or slow productivity is better than no productivity at all. It will be difficult without all of these things. But at least when we start, you and I, when we start, we may not have the capacity to start big and supply the whole country. We cannot speak the same language that FDIs out there are speaking. They are big businesses. And when they come in, they're most likely going to build something that will supply the whole country. Therefore, they need a network that covers the whole country. But you and I, we may build something small that will supply our province or a state. Or maybe even smaller, maybe 5, 6, 7 districts within a province. That would be counties within a state. Yes, we still need good roads, but it is not as bad as we are traversing the whole country, crisscrossing the country, trying to supply the whole country. It will be difficult, but it's not as difficult as someone that is supplying the whole country. And why do I say we will start small? Because of lack of capital on the continent, and because China is making small manufacturing machinery, and those small manufacturing machinery, they're not very expensive, so they make it affordable to start a manufacturing business. And we can start in our backyards, a workshop in the backyard, because there are no factories in Africa. Very few people, very few countries have factories, and many are now beginning to wake up and realize that we have missed an opportunity. We are missing an opportunity. Tanzania, by 2025, they want to be an industrialized country. Leadership, take a role. I agree, we need leadership. They have just built a boat, a ship. Egypt, they are investing billions in building factories. But where there are no factories, let us start small. Put up that workshop in your backyard. It will give you good money. It will get you somewhere. It is better than doing nothing, sitting back and saying, we need infrastructure. Let us not talk big FDI language. Yes, we need infrastructure, like I said about the roads, but at least we're not covering a wide range like a big business would. And development is up to us. We cannot leave it up to FDIs alone. We need to industrialize, and we need to diversify. Nigeria, their GDP, just about $500 million. 88% of their GDP comes from oil. Yes, every country will have its own comparative advantage, and we are to use it. But when 88% comes from oil, it means that 12% of the GDP comes from all the other sectors: agriculture, finance, manufacturing. All of them combined contribute only 12% to GDP. I said we're pulling no punches. We're not disparaging any country. We're talking opportunities. I see untold opportunities. The finance and insurance sector, they have the numbers in Nigeria. The finance and insurance sector has the potential to make many, many billions, and in the process, many millionaires, and in the process, employ many millions, millions of people. There is so much potential in that country. That gives me the bravery to say that there's absolutely no need for anyone to scam another human being. No need to make money from illegal means. There's so many opportunities. Why do you think that the richest black man is from Nigeria? Not from the UK with 3.15 billion, economy of 3.15 trillion. Not from the United States with an economy of $26.84 trillion, not from that economy, not from Germany with 4.3 trillion. We're talking an economy of half a trillion, 500 billion, half a trillion. But the richest black person comes from that. Why? He saw an opportunity that many don't see. Because when you see that opportunity, when you see that raw opportunity that is not developed, in all likelihood, you are the only fish swimming in the ocean. You have very few competitors. You start big enough, with a capacity big enough, you capture literally the whole market to yourself. That is why I say that there are so many opportunities in food and beverages. There is no need for 60% of our farm produce to go to waste. And then we import food from another country. We cannot. If there's something that I don't understand, it's importing food. Food and beverages, we must make it in our countries. Each and every African country, we must make our own food that we eat. That I don't get. So many opportunities all over Africa. If only we, the entrepreneurs, can take up that opportunity. The opportunities are right in front of us. But you know what is our problem? We see an opportunity in something that is already developed. We don't see an opportunity that is raw and needs to be developed. The richest black man saw it. Let us learn from him. He doesn't come from an economy of trillions, but is richer than the people in economies that have trillions. He majored on something that we are missing. Let us diversify. And diversification and wealth creation depends on us, entrepreneurs, you and I, going into business, going into manufacturing. There are opportunities in manufacturing, untold opportunities in manufacturing. Let us not import what we have the ability to make. Let's rather import the input materials, but let's go into manufacturing, starting small. Like I said, maybe supplying 5-6 districts within your province. Maybe with time, then there'll be measures and acquisitions and takeovers. But in the process, you as an entrepreneur, you're going to make good money. Manufacturing is known to make many millionaires. You are going to contribute to the growth of your GDP, of your country's GDP. And when each and every country grows their GDP, then all of Africa grows. And in the process, you are employing people. You are giving them a livelihood. They and their dependents, they have a livelihood. You are lifting them up out of poverty. You are making an impact in somebody else's life. Let us rise up, take up these opportunities in front of us. Our children are drowning. It's painful. Our children are drowning in the Mediterranean Ocean because of lack of jobs on the continent, trying to escape poverty. The World Bank, when they write about poverty, they say that within the next 25 years, 90% of poor people will come from Africa. At the present moment, 50% of our African population lives in poverty. What are we doing? What are we doing? You know, there are two things that really touch my heart and worry me about Africa. The level of people that live below the breadline. The level of people, number of people that live in poverty. And what are we saying to the world about ourselves as a black race? Are we saying that we are mental measures? No, we're not. I know that we are very intelligent. I know that. But why are we acting so unconcerned? They're drowning in the Mediterranean Ocean. It's not my relative. Me and my family were okay. It's sad, but me and my family were okay. No. We have a solution in our hands. Let us go into small-scale manufacturing. It has the potential to employ many and lift many out of poverty. Let us change and revolutionize the way we are doing agriculture. China and South Africa, there's a guy in South Africa, they are making small tractors. The ability to mechanize and industrialize is becoming more and more affordable because of the machinery being made small, therefore making many able to go into manufacturing. We no longer have an excuse to sit back and say FDI. We can't wait for FDI. Foreign trade, foreign direct investment, those are big businesses. There is a place for small businesses. There is a place for small manufacturing in developing the economy. I did statistical comparison of the countries developed and us less developed countries in Africa. And I found that the number of their small and medium enterprises is about 10% of the population. And when I came to Africa, few were registered and formal. The majority were in the informal. You might say, what's wrong with the informal? There are too many doing the same thing, diluting the profits. They're doing something, but then it's hard for them to make ends meet. And most of them, they're in retail and it's overtraded. Either they're all selling tomatoes or they're importing stuff from China and we're selling it. I say, let's go into small-scale manufacturing. If just 10% of every country, 10% of the people take up small manufacturing and employ 2 other people, that is 3 people including the owner employed, 30% of the population will be employed. They will have a livelihood. And if those 30% take care of 2 other people, 3 people living on the salary of 1 person, you can imagine the number of people that will be lifted up out of poverty. And that prediction of World Bank, we can make it false because they base their prediction based on what is happening currently, but we can change it. My call to us Africans is to change it. Let us take up small-scale manufacturing and agro-processing. China is making it possible. The machinery is no longer too big. You don't need a big factory to start. Small manufacturing. The kind of investment that we are talking about is between 20 and 50,000, either US dollars or euros or pounds or Deutschmark or whatever. It's not a lot, it is doable. I say let's do it for ourselves because the world out there respects performance. You cannot go around. We know that we are not respected. Somebody was brave enough to call us despicable and worthless. But you don't go around trying to prove your worth to people, trying to tell them that you are capable. You just zip it and you perform. And performance will speak for you. Performance will give you that respect. Performance will make you an equal at the table. Again, I will give you an example, and I'm not glorifying South Africa. There are many things wrong in this country. I was watching a video because I can't talk about Africa and not know enough about Africa, and I watch a lot of videos about Africa. I was watching this guy. He's from one of our African countries. He's teaching English in Southeast Asia, and there are many people all around the world that are teaching English around the world, including some people from South Africa. And he said, I noticed that the minute that these black South Africans, the minute they tell people that they're from South Africa, they get treated the same way that Americans and Europeans are treated. They immediately give them some form of respect. And I've always known that the world respects performance because of the way they perceive the South African economy. And I say the aim of this talk is, if it can happen in one African country, it can happen in any other. I know you might say it was government led. We're talking here about a collective entrepreneurial power. We underestimate it. And some people, when I talk about this, they say, what is the point of starting a business when the government with its policies, they're going to close it down? And in my mind, I'm like, but when many of us, we start these businesses and we employ people, and we and our employees, we pay taxes, tax revenue received by the government goes up, maybe doubles, triples. What government in its own right mind would then want with its policies, want to close down these businesses? I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't believe it. I'm not saying the policies are correct. Many need to be changed, many. But even in the face of those, we can still take a step forward. We can still take steps forward and create employment. And it's employment. In my very simplistic, non-theoretical definition of poverty is as a result of a lack of job opportunities. And if you have job opportunity, then it depends how much you are paid. And if you are paid a decent salary, then it depends on your financial skills, personal financial management skills. But it begins with employment opportunities. We can lift our people out of poverty. There is no need, with a number of educated people on the continent, there is no need for 50% of the people to be living in poverty. And it doesn't even take a lot. It does not only depend on the educated. Because to make soap, to make cheese, it's a process that does not, the technical process does not require a lot. I say, let's do those things. But I can hear somebody say, how do we do it when we don't have the capital? And that's where I say that is where our NPO comes in. Africa Accelerated Economic Development, where we want to take many, train them, link them up with investors from abroad, because trillions of money, trillions of capital is needed to develop Africa. That money is in the pockets of many small individual investors. Link them up with those people and they form partnership. We foster those legal partnerships. They protect the interests of them justly and fairly, both of them. And we start those partnerships. And the investor also becomes a mentoring partner. But we stress it to our people that your development, your entrepreneurial skill development is first and foremost your own responsibility. Read every day. If you read 10 pages of a business book every day, and you read with understanding to gain knowledge, after a year, you shall have read 3,600 pages. If the book length is on average is 360 pages, you shall have read 10 books on business. You are the equivalent of someone with a diploma in business. You do that every day, because to get ahead at anything, you need commitment and discipline. Just read 10 pages, not more, not a lot. You can grow. But I hear people say we don't have skills. The government is not training us. We have come to expect way too much from the government. Even the things that we have the capability to do it ourselves, we rely on the government. I can hear somebody say, but I don't have money for the book. We have libraries. There are free books online. You can get a free book online, either an audio book or a free book, and read it every day and gain a lot of knowledge in that. We start small, but we are marching towards something bigger and better. I say we have the capacity to change the perception of the world about us black people, about us, Africa, the continent. And we can do it in 10 years. Within 10 years, if all of us in each and every African country, we do our bit, Africa will not be recognizable in 10 years' time. Why 10 years? I take a look at Germany. After the war, I think I've said this before, after the war, the economy was decimated. But in 10 years' time, they had rebuilt it. This thing needs all of us. Just needs enough people to take up entrepreneurship, to get this message. Take up meaningful entrepreneurship. Like 10%, like I said, that in developed countries, only 10% of their small businesses, their businesses, the number of the small businesses represents 10% of their population. We just need 10%. Not everybody is an entrepreneur. Not everybody is an entrepreneur. Not everybody will get this message. And that is why we talk of job creation, because we are aware that not everybody is an entrepreneur. But that person with that message, with entrepreneurship burning within your heart, take that bold step. Plan. Don't just step out without planning. Plan and step out. And I say that we are capable, we are able, and we can change the way the world sees the black race. We can change the way the world looks at us as Africa and as the people of melanin. Let us stay in Africa and develop Africa. It is our responsibility to develop it. And like I said, this was a video for objective reflection, devising a meaningful plan and implementing it, because nothing changes without implementation. And let us stay in Africa and develop Africa. And I talk about these things in a book. In the comment section, there's a pinned comment in the section below, comment section below. Please, there's a Smashword link to an ebook. Please do download your copy of that ebook where we talk about these things. And I say we're capable. You are more than capable. You just don't realize the capability you have, the potential you have. It's more than you know. And I say, if you stayed with me this far and you like this video, please do click like, and please do subscribe to this channel, and please do share it with other people, so that as many as possible potential entrepreneurs out there get this message, and we do something and we develop our economies. And when each and every African country develops, then collectively as a continent we are developing, we are growing up, we can change things. I want you to remember that you have the capability. You are able, you are capable, you are equipped, and you are wonderful. I love you all, my African people. Thank you. See you in the next video. Bye.